News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
A task force put together to handle unsubmitted sexual assault evidence kits. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. Congratulations, you made it. It's Friday, November the 13th. But if you're a triskaidekaphobiac, means if you're afraid of the number 13, might want to stay in bed today because it is Friday the 13th. All right. We'll let that go from here. Cloudy and 32 degrees in Missoula right now. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by locally owned Office Solutions and Services. Download their Office Shopper app for purchases, barcode scanning, and to search products. Montana Attorney General Tim Fox announced yesterday his office has formed a task force to examine the issue of unsubmitted sexual assault evidence kits in Montana.
In some other jurisdictions and other states where they have large quantities of these untested kits, they have discovered that they might be able to solve a cold case, and at least in one case there was a serial rapist that perhaps could have been detected.
Fox details who'll be on the task force that will be looking into this issue.
So this task force will have someone from my office, your own Representative Kim Dudick from Missoula will be a Democrat legislator on the committee. Representative Christy Clark from Shoto will have a county prosecutor, someone from the sheriff's community, and someone from the police chief's community.
Sexual assault's been a key issue in many aspects of Montana law enforcement and politics over the last few years. The Not in Our State Sexual Assault Summit took place this past week. The task force will have its first meeting later this year. A California company is planning to build another solar plant on 30 to 40 acres, this time in the Helena Valley. The Independent Record reports Cypress Creek Renewables signed a 25-year agreement to sell power to Northwestern Energy in Montana from a 3-megawatt facility in Helena. The plant will generate enough power to supply energy to about 540 homes. Cypress Creek spokesman Jason Carr said the company is looking at about 10 projects here in Montana, including facilities in Helena, Hardin, and of course the one we already reported on earlier this week here in Missoula. Carr says construction of the Green Meadow facility in Helena should begin and be completed sometime next year. Cypress Creek is aggressively developing similar projects across the country. On Thursday, Governor Steve Bullock signed an executive order establishing an interim Montana Clean Power Plan Advisory Council. The committee will be made up of people from all across the state.
Let me start by saying that I firmly believe that we must take action to address climate change. Montanans place a very high premium on preserving our environment, outdoor heritage, and communities. All Montanans will be affected by the success or failure of our efforts to address climate change, especially our kids and grandkids and subsequent generations.
Bullock said it's inevitable that Montana will be required to address climate change. He said he doesn't want the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency dictating how the state will meet those new requirements.
Bottom line for me is that we Montanans should control our future. Folks who raise their families here, who work here, who hunt here, should ultimately decide what Montana we pass on to our kids and our grandkids will look like.
Bullock says Montana needs to come prepared with its own solution within the council if it wants to remain in control of its own energy future. Montana's Health Department is hiring someone to hear and investigate complaints against the Division of Child and Family Services, help mediate solutions, and to recommend system changes to reduce future conflicts. The Department of Public Health and Human Services is accepting applications for the position of Complaint and Critical Incident Manager through November 29. Families, counselors, and others who advocate on behalf of abused and neglected children have complained that some of the agency's actions and placement recommendations don't seem to make sense or follow policy. They also argue that there doesn't seem to be a process to appeal or undo bad decisions. The job posting says the successful applicant must remain sensitive to public perception and keep the agency and the governor's office informed about any, quote, politically charged issues, end quote. For the past 13 years, Chaplain Chuck Lee served as the chaplain for the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. However, he retired back in June. According to Sheriff's Department Public Information Officer Brenda Bassett, he has some big shoes to fill.
As a lot of people know in the Missoula community, our long-serving chaplain, Chuck Lee, he recently moved to the East Coast to be closer to family, and he was such a huge part of our department, and he really put his heart and soul into helping, not only the law enforcement officers and their families, but community members. And so right now we're actively trying to fill that position.
A bid posting for the chaplain position asks for someone who has experience with death notifications that can be available 24/7 and warns potential applicants that, quote, divorce, suicide, substance abuse, and early retirement are common among law enforcement personnel who routinely party to deeply disturbing incidents during a normal workday, end quote.
They're really there to be a sounding board for officers and for their families. A lot of people don't always know what officers deal with being in this line of work, and they see, deaths all the time and suicides and just people at the worst times of their life, and that takes a toll.
The job posting for the chaplain position will end November 30th. Back in 2007, deputies increased their own dues in order to help fund the position, which is also supported by a benefit dinner each year. I've had the pleasure of hosting those dinners the last couple of years. Saturday's tomorrow's game between the Montana Grizzlies and Eastern Washington will feature a flyover from the Montana Air National Guard with a C-130 transport aircraft. Senior Airman William Anderson said the aircraft will be flying in from Great Falls.
C-130 Hercules H model, and what it does is it carries cargo and personnel pretty much all over the world. We've gone to some pretty cool places. Going to be in New Zealand. We've been to the Virgin Islands, Hawaii.
Anderson said the C-130 will make a low-level pass over the stadium during pregame tomorrow.
I believe it's going to be probably just a couple thousand feet above the stadium, so similar to what the Neptune aviation aircraft did at their recent flyover.
The game will also be Military Appreciation Day as well as Senior Day. Fans are also asked to bring cans of perishable goods tomorrow for the Can the Cats competition. Kickoff scheduled for 1:30 p.m. Don't be late or you'll miss the flyover. News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy skies today with just a slight chance of a shower. Highs will top out in the mid-40s. Winds will be breezy with wind gusts up to 15 miles per hour. Isolated showers tonight, lows right around freezing. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.